Well, right on. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Wednesday night, 5 p.m. We're watching the Owen Schmitt Showdown, hosted by Schmitt Saloon Davison Brothers Music Hall. We're live here today. Just want to let everybody know real quick, 5 p.m. will be broadcasted live from thedepost.com. And let's check out our panel right now. It looks kind of familiar, except I'm here this week.
You're back.
I'm back from the UK, over in London, the Manchester United. Cheers, mate. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, keep going. Keep going.
I know. But this is a show where we kind of shoot the breeze about college football, some NFL football, football in general, beer, maybe deer hunting, who knows. We'll go left to right here, or my left, your right. Alex Shook, and that's 87 to 91.
87 to 91.
87 to 91. Played fullback for the first 3 years, and then tight end.
Tight end my senior year.
Yep.
Right.
Mr. Drew Rubenstein. What can I say about this guy? He's covered, WVU sports for the last 10 years. Been with the Dominion Post for 5 years. And Mr. David Gono here, D-back 05, played with me as well. So there's been we kind of had a rough loss. Kind of had a pretty disappointing.
Disappointing. Okay.
31-30, kind of lost it in the fourth quarter there. Lots of pointing going on. Whose fault is it? No one really wants to take the blame. Alex, let's start with you. What do you think happened?
I guess the team lost it. I mean, I don't see any one person to put the blame on, point the finger at. The defense had a breakdown at the end of the game. Clint, who I've been singing his praises so much the last couple of times I was on the show, obviously got a little rattled, didn't play a great game, had some turnovers, and I think it really affected the way the coach called the game coming down the stretch there. We got so conservative, and I understand Dana's reluctance to turn Clint loose in that situation because the defense really been playing great. So, we got beat by a good team. We're playing top-level competition, and they got great players, great band. We've talked about this before. Great stadiums, great support. This is it's a lot different going up against this top-level talent. You got to be on your game, and you got to have a little bit of luck and almost play perfect to beat these kind of teams. And we just we fell 1 point short.
Yeah, so many times you see a team that's playing, a good competitor get a lead, and instead of trying to pound that last nail,
we couldn't knock them out.
You know what I mean? We just couldn't. So tough. Would have been a huge win for us, just as far as the standings. Drew, what do you think?
Perception-wise, it would have put West Virginia, I think, completely back into the national conversation, because all of a sudden talk about Big 12 championship kind of goes from a dream to more you could grasp it. It would have been right there for West Virginia to grab. I think the most disappointing thing is going just to the fourth quarter. I don't know. Maybe I'm interested in your guys' take as former players, but there's been a lot of talk about the turnovers, and obviously that hurt West Virginia early in the game, but from what I'm seeing, it didn't ultimately factor into the outcome of the game. As players, you're up by 9 in the fourth quarter, home game. You knew TCU was going to hang tough. You're trading blows. You're in that situation. The turnovers shouldn't matter, and I get that WVU didn't want to pass all over the field because they felt like TCU had the right calls and whatever, but didn't have to be. That's the whole other end of the spectrum. There were 9 offensive plays, I think, in the fourth quarter for West Virginia that they didn't have their bread and butter plays to go to, that they didn't have a way to get the ball to Kevin White, that they didn't have a way to get the ball to Mario Alford and space, that it just turned into what it did is probably the most disappointing. That where is the identity when the going gets tough, and it vanished. It was trying to ride the defense, but I think it was unfair to the defense. You had to do more offensively. You're talking 1 or 2 first downs, and that they weren't able to do it, that they didn't have anything to go to, I think is the most disappointing part of it.
Yeah.
What do you think there,
I agree with all that. I think the hard part, like Alex said, the team lost. I mean, let's be honest. this defense was not supposed to be this good, this fast. I mean, they've been kind of not counted on the majority of the season. The past 3 weeks, they've been stellar. So, and I made the remark yesterday on another show. I'm surprised they haven't blown a coverage sooner. You know, with all those freshmen playing and guys who have not played in those specific positions in Coach Gibson's defense, to make a mistake with that much on the line, it happens. Let's be honest, it happens. But that being said, you know, when you don't finish a game like Drew said, up 9 in the fourth quarter, you know what that is? That's gassers. That's summer conditioning. Those are things that you mentally focus that. There's no excuse. We can talk about play calling. We can talk about Holgerson being conservative. We could possibly talk about Clint not being 100%. If you don't finish a game when you're up by almost 10 points, it's on your focus and it's on your conditioning.
Yeah, I'd agree, and also it kind of comes back to something we've talked about in numerous previous conversations about the run game. I mean, you're up 9, fourth quarter. If you got a run game, here you go. You know what I mean? Let them let them do the work. Let the big boys up front do the work and grind it out, grind the clock out. You know, I think there was times when we could have done that, and there was times where they were just, no way. I don't know. It's not there yet. It's not there. Where's that guy?
No, I mean, they couldn't do it.
Where is that guy?
I think TCU had something to say about that, though, as well. That's a veteran, good defense, well-coached. I mean, they're tough to run on.
Exactly. And, what I said, it's just you got to have a run game, man. You got to have a run game because those are the perfect situations.
Yeah.
You get in where you can wear down the clock, grind out a couple first downs. You know, you're not doing anything special. This isn't pretty hour. This is let's grind this game down and win. Finish. You know what I mean? To me, finishing is a part of the game that is somewhat overlooked at times just because you don't get in a lot of situations. You think you're up 9-0, I'm sitting pretty, 2 scores, no big deal. And then you get hit in the mouth, obviously. And then reality sets in. And you're like, oh, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, I mean, a quick point I'll make. It's week 10 almost? The book is out as far as ways to double coverage, triple coverage Kevin White. The book is out on ways to make it so that the offense is one-dimensional. So at that point, and this is a deeper question I'll throw to you guys, but, I mean, whether it's play calling or individual players that need to step up, the next 3 games are huge. I mean, I'm thinking of Texas and definitely Kansas State coming down the line. I mean, if you go in there with 1 fastball, no other pitches, you're gonna be disappointed at the end of the day again.
You have to be able to run the ball when people know you're going to run it to beat these big teams, to beat these tough teams. And when they were able to stop us with 6 and 7 in the box at the end of the game, go ahead and double up, Kevin.
That's what I'm saying.
We can't win those games. You can't beat a number 5 or whatever 16.
You're not going to be a good team. And exactly what you said. They're putting 6, 7 in the box. We got a hat on a hat, if not more than one. So it just. Obviously, it's probably frustrating more for me because when I was going to school, that's all we had was the run game. But you know what I mean? But that's just like you said, those top 5 teams, if you can't run the ball, you will never get there. You will never be even in the runnings. I don't care how much you run and gun. It's like we said, as soon as you double team our Mr. White there, it's over with. What do we got?
As players, are those defeats more frustrating, the ones that you're not getting out schemed, you're not getting X's and O's wise, but it's you against somebody else and just getting taken over? I mean, are those the worst defeats?
Close losses, the ones you remember, the ones
the most.
Because there were 1 or 2 plays that could have turned it here or there, and the close ones are the ones that hurt the worst and that you remember the most.
Yeah.
And especially, being up like that in the fourth quarter at home, I mean, we got our crowd. Next week they're going into Texas. That's a very intimidating atmosphere. I mean, I'm not going to kid you. That's a very...
This is our breather game.
Huh?
This is our breather game. Going down to Texas.
Yeah, they're 4 and 5, but they're really
But
not
they're Texas,
4.
man.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to play there. It's going to be a sea of orange. It's going to be loud.
Yeah, their defense is ready.
Yeah.
Charlie Strong has had a tough year. I mean, I think he's kicked off, like 10 guys? How do you get kicked off the Texas roster, first of all, as a player? That's one thing I keep reading. Like, what do you do to get kicked off of that
You
team?
read the rap sheets, you figure out what happened.
Yeah, for real.
Case in point, but they don't have a signature victory. I don't know what they took or what they were thinking when they played in the Red River Shootout, but they should have won that game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is a team that is. Their record is somewhat, I mean, they are a 4-5 football team, to quote and channel Bill Parcells, but they are very capable. Mountaineers have to be on the ball. Like, they had to finish runs, finish plays, finish blocks. I had to give a shout out to Vernon Davis for catching punts. That's the first time in 9 games that's happened across the board.
Did he actually advance one too?
No, I don't
No,
think he
we still
advanced
haven't
not one. I mean,
progressed
take it a
that
week at a
point.
time.
hey, yeah, 1 week at a time. He caught all of them.
Yeah.
That's a great start.
Texas is going to be interesting just because they're going down there early. You know, it's coming off a bad I mean, that's a bad taste. There's a lot of people here, you know, you can say he said, she said, all this, you know, nonsense or whatever. They lost the game. It's a team effort, coaching effort, whatever, regardless. We got to forget about it and move on. And we'll see what's going to happen this week. I mean, the cat's out of the bag. Okay, you want to stop Kevin, you know, Mr. White, let's just go double team him. We're good there. They can't run, so we'll just put, you know, whatever. We'll bring some pressure from the edges and do a little, you know, I don't know what they're going to do, but I mean, I feel like we got super exposed. You know what I mean? It was like
super exposed is the phrase.
super
yes.
exposed. Like, it just was not a big deal that.
Teams are going to that cover too, and WVU hasn't had the counter punch yet, right? I mean, that's
So,
No, I mean, I've made the comment before. Maybe, you know, if Kevin White has completely torched all but 2 or 3 sets of secondaries that he's played all year, there's film on him now.
Yeah.
The only way to make, in college at least, because in college, Owen will attest to this, in college it's not as much about matchups. If you can get your best guys in space, you'll win. In the NFL and pros, it's all about matchups. And
Yes.
what teams are doing now, they're not even letting Kevin White do anything but catch passes 15 yards and under, and they're sending guys, fanning guys underneath, and they're bringing guys over the top. So if he catches the ball, I mean, he's going to feel it every time. Why not put Mario Alford on that side? Why not make it to where the defense has to make a choice? You either bite on Kevin White or you let you let Mario go deep. You know, these are things that, again, I'm not an offensive coordinator, but there's ways to make it to where you make the defense show their hand, and that's what I'm sort of discouraged about, because the offense knows that they can't really get the ball to Kevin White, and nobody else is stepping up, and that's a problem. Week 10.
I figure that's where you run your counters, your reverses, you know, plays like that where you use him as more of a decoy now than an actual weapon. I mean, and that in turn, you know, he becomes a weapon because of so much emphasis these teams have put on him. These last couple of weeks. It's smart, double team. I mean, he's the main attraction. He's the guy.
We got to protect Clint too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's shown to be vulnerable when he's pressured, and he was really, really jittery. I think the coaches even mentioned it. That he lost some of his mojo in this last game, and we can't let him get hit. He's too small.
Well,
first of all.
and,
Texas is going to have good players up front. They're going to have Alabama
their front seven is
style
just,
guys up front.
Yeah.
And that's coming back to Texas. It's Texas. I don't care if they're 5-4, 4-5, or whatever. They're still Texas. They still have ball players. They'll always have ball players.
You kick 10 off, and they go pick 10 more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, their front seven, 5 of them are guaranteed to be at pro day.
Right. Yeah.
That's just how ridiculous they
I
are.
still think this game is going to be between the ears for us. Are we going to be able to come off of this difficult loss and still go down there, play with the chip on our shoulder? I think that's the kind of play we're going to have to beat a Texas-type team. And Texas hasn't played great this year. And I think they primarily rely on the running game, haven't had great quarterback play. So, this is a winnable game if we go down there with our heads on right.
I mean, the coal stove better be burning because it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, because now we're kind of like, what are we, 6-3?
6-3 and 2 losses in the Big 12.
So, I mean, that's...
And the other thing, too, I'll throw out really quickly, K-State, Kansas State plays TCU. So somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to lose, and there's only going to be one team with a one-loss record in conference. So the Mountaineers, I mean, maybe, Drew, you can attest to this, they somewhat control their destiny. Maybe they can't win the conference, but I would say it's overachievement to be second in the conference going into what we thought was going to be a rough year.
Yeah, and I guess that going off of what both you and Alex just said there is the mental aspect of the game and wondering where you guys as former players, because I think you're right. There probably a lot of crazy stuff would have to happen for them to have a chance at even a share of the conference title at this point. Stuff could happen. But so as players, when you know that dream is gone, does it take wind out of the sail, or are you able to quickly look that you have Texas and, I mean, because now you're not playing for the BCS. You're probably playing for that next tier bowl. And what is that like as players? But coming into the season, if you would say West Virginia would have a chance at the second or third best bowl in the Big 12 and be able to win 8 or 9 games and build some momentum into the offseason, I guess it depends on how the players are looking at it. Are they demoralized after that kind of a defeat? Or are they able to
I hope they
rebound?
feel like there's a ton left to play for, because there really is. Kansas State has to go at TCU, at
West
Baylor,
Virginia and Baylor.
and at West Virginia. That's
They
a
have-
rugged
they have to
stretch
finish
for them.
for real, yeah.
All these teams are going to be beating up on each other. We're probably not going to win the conference. Okay, that's probably out of reach, but we got a lot to play for, particularly coming off such a crappy year as we had last year.
Yeah, and I think, finishing strong with these, we got the last 3 games?
Yep.
Yeah.
3 games.
Plus the bowl.
Hey, 9-3,
Be a great year.
I'd take that. I would
I
take
mean,
that in June. I mean,
not
just to
bad.
be honest.
I mean, I don't even like talking about this right now because I feel like I'm accepting that we're average. But there has been some great efforts put towards this year. It's just, things happen. You know what I mean? And you're going to win some close games and lose some close games. But that's why, to me, this is such a tough loss to kind of chew on, because having the lead and stuff and then only losing by a point.
We had it.
I know. You know what I
right
mean?
there
It's
for
like,
taking.
And it could have been,
Then you're going to another level.
yeah, you know what I mean? 10-2. You're looking at, 10-2 looks a lot better than 9-3. I hate saying that, but it does.
Well, it's it just changes your, I don't want to use big words, but it changes your paradigm as a team. You go from being 24th, 22nd in the nation to where you're in the conversation in your next big game. K-State. K-State wins against TCU Saturday. College game day is coming back.
Oh, it's, yeah. For real.
I mean, when Terrell Chestnut forced that fumble and returned it, I mean, first of all, I say this all the time, it's so hard to get guys to make plays in front of him. Terrell Chestnut always makes the play in front. I mean, is he Darryl Worley? No. Is it Carl Joseph? No. Is it KJ Dillon? No. He's the other starting corner.
Yeah.
And he made a huge play. I remember sitting back.
player.
I remember sitting back. I was like, man, the game's over now. As long as we can run the ball and finish, but
that's the thing.
that's the
Couldn't put 'em
thing.
away. Couldn't put 'em away.
That's coming back to what we talked about week 1, really when we were in the huddle, talking about a run game. Those are key elements to a team that you have to have. You have to have a run game. You know what I mean? If you don't, you'll get by on the pass, a couple weeks here and there, you'll put up some big numbers, but eventually you're going to have to call on that, and I hope it's there. You know what I mean?
I have a
I don't
question
want
for
to,
you.
as a player, I don't want to be like, man, I hope we can run a couple first downs. I really hope, you know what I mean? Like,
But that's where they are right now, right?
but
Yeah.
exactly.
Did anybody have any confidence, though, that we were going to get a first down at the end? We
it seemed like the whole
hadn't ran
stadium
the
was-
ball. I mean,
yeah.
it was.
Well,
I was
we talk
worried.
about the run game. How can we make is it just the plays being called?
Dude,
is it
the
a
run
mentality?
game-
Because
run
I
game
keep
is
seeing the
exactly,
same
it's
exact
attitude.
call, and it's not working.
Run game is attitude 100%. Yes, obviously, technique, and after the technique, it's attitude. Do you want to reach your block? Are you going to strain as hard as you can to reach that block or to stay on your block? Are you going to, it's not rocket science. You know what I mean? It's really not.
Especially not when it's 6-on-6 or 7-on-7.
You want that.
We weren't running into a big disadvantage here. They were just beating us. up front.
Exactly. And I know we're a little undersized and stuff, but use our speed to our advantage. We got good running backs. To me, I think we have good running backs.
Yeah. I mean, we've always been undersized, right? That's never.
Yes.
Let's be real. That's never been a case before.
Yeah, we've never. I mean, we've never had the rear end like a lot of teams, even when we were playing in the Big East.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were a zone team and stuff, and it's a little different scheme. But all you need is 6 good run plays, maybe 4.
How many did you guys?
We had
If
like
you don't mind going there.
4, maybe.
I was gonna say it was
honestly, 3 or 4. We had an ISO play, which I mean, isometric play. That's me and him. One-on-one block. You're isolating a certain player on the team, and everybody else is making a little runway for you. That's like the first play you learn. Then but what that that's an attitude play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's hey, we're coming right at you. Stop us. I don't think we're mean. I don't think we're mean enough. I don't think we have.
I agree with you there.
I don't think we have a guy who really is going to stick his face in the fan. I mean,
we're talking about offensive line, running backs, or as a team.
I mean, you talk around. I'm calling the fullback out. You know what I mean? But we don't really use the fullback like that much. You know what I mean?
Bigger picture wise, could it just be more of an evolution? I mean, let's remember when you look at Dana Holgerson and Shannon Dawson, they are from a tree in an offense where they never used the run game. I don't think they ever, that mentality was just irrelevant. You look at Mike Leach, he still throws the ball 80 times a game. Dana, to his credit, has realized he needs a more complete offense. And
it's improved.
But it's still
improved.
maybe a maturation process.
Listen, we're a past team. That's cool. I'm all good with that. It's just, you still have to be good at those, 3rd and short plays. You know what I mean? Hey, if we need a yard, we need a yard, and it's got to be a guaranteed one. You know what I mean?
Even when they know we're coming right at you.
Exactly. It's got to and that has to be your mentality. I don't care if they put everyone in the box. We're getting a yard. You know what I mean?
And we did that against Oklahoma State, TCU. I think we got to tip our hats to them to a certain extent. They're a good team.
Hey, they're a great
good
team.
defense.
Yeah,
They are a great team, and I know we're being hard on the guys and stuff, but us as Mountaineer fans and as former players and people that cover WVU sports, we hold our people to a higher standard. Okay, this is our Steeler team. This is our whatever. I like the Green Bay Packers. This is our pro team here. Okay, this is our baby. We hold these guys to a higher standard. Why? Because we believe in them. You know what I mean? And everybody puts that trust in them. So it's just. Run game, like we were talking about, it's purely attitude, especially when you're talking about powers and ISOs and, like kick-out plays, anything like that. It's an attitude play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just
fullback-centric plays.
Yes.
All of those.
Exactly. I mean, and you know what? I am a little, I can get a little upset because we don't really run a fullback anymore. And nobody's really
It ain't
running
about running the fullback much in those plays. Anyhow.
Nobody's doing it.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing it. But I
at any
mean,
level.
the thing is everybody's getting to these offenses where they throw out that player. But if you see the teams that use the fullback properly, I mean, he's a weapon. You don't have to give the guy 20 carries. Give him a touch once or twice a game, maybe, and throw him 2 passes in the flat. And that's a whole nother scheme they have to worry about.
Giving the dog a bone.
Just give him a bone. Hey, listen, come here.
The other 50 times you're running full blast into.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you go run 20 ISOs, and I'll give you one. I'll give you one bone. You know what I mean? And it'll be a stuffed play where we're running into a wall, pretty much. But whatever. You know what I mean? You got to have those attitude plays. 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. Shorts in general.
I mean, Alex, what was the running game
like
with Coach Nealon? Like, what?
It was huge. It was huge when you were doing it.
We were definitely a run down. I led the team in receptions my senior year with less receptions than Kevin White had in the first 2 games.
That's saying something.
We ran the option. We ran power, ISO, kick out. It was definitely the biggest part of our game because we didn't have great passing quarterbacks that time. We had good option running quarterbacks.
But and I don't mean to cut you off here, Drew, but power plays, those are attitude runs. Being a run team is an attitude, 100%. Yeah. I mean, look at Alabama. Those guys, when they call run play, it's like, yeah, cool. Yeah. First down again, we're going to grade these dudes into the dirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not a thing. You don't have to. be a run offense to have a great run offense. You just have to have those couple plays that your bread and butter plays that you learned in Little League that you can call upon and be like, hey, this is good for 3 yards every time. You know what I mean? This is good for whatever, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, it is what it is. But to me, that's what makes look at the teams that make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, for the majority of the time, not so much anymore, but standard offenses, San Fran's, Baltimore's, teams that still kind of use that are still big contenders. But
Yeah.
enough about the run game, whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, got to get passionate there, Bill.
Yeah.
That's probably the most passionate I think we've seen you.
Well, I mean, I'm passionate, man. I'm passionate about the team. I'd like to see, a play where we get 3 yards and all the linemen are like, heck yeah, he's slapping each other on the butt and all that stuff.
I mean, I made the comment earlier in the season, know what I would love to see? And I'm a defensive guy, and I watch the offense, but I don't have like a pet play, so to speak. Like, I don't have something that I want to see every time, but there is nothing better than seeing a fullback leading a running back into a hole and the fullback annihilating whoever's in the hole and the running back, I don't care if it's 3 yards or it's 80 yards. That part of the game is so energizing, and it runs through the whole team.
That can set in ISO play. If a fullback really digs a linebacker out of there, or gets smacks him real good, and that running back trickles past, you watch a team's confidence build. Because that play shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean?
Take the heart out of the defense.
Yes.
You're imposing your will on people
Yes.
like that and take the heart out of a defense.
That is a real thing on the field. I mean, I think I've experienced it myself. I've hit dudes in the head where they're just like, man, is your bell rung yet or what? I was like, man, that was like first quarter. You know what I mean? I'm coasting right now. I already got a headache. Now I'm going to give you one.
I only got good shots when they didn't see me coming. So.
Oh, this is the best one.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow that anymore. But
well, I mean, that makes me think, sort of to transition a little bit, this Mountaineer team on offense has been stellar, but can they impose their will? We'll start with you, Drew. Going into Texas, the rest of the season, but starting with Texas, can they impose their will? Or what is the one thing that they have to do week in, week out, starting with Texas?
I don't know if you can. Everything that you guys are talking about makes sense, but if it's not there week 10 of the season, I don't know that it's going to come this season.
Exactly.
So then I look at what else do? You got to counterpunch. Maybe part of it is going up against excellent defenses, as Alex mentioned. Let's not forget Oklahoma State had one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and TCU with Gary Patterson has an outstanding defense. But to your point about being hard on West Virginia, part of it is what does West Virginia have to do to get back into the thick of being a conference champion? And it doesn't get any easier from here. They face those two teams, but then you're facing Charlie Strong. And the more time you give him with Texas talent to turn that defense around, in a year or two, they may be the best defense in the country. And then you got Bill Snyder's defense at Kansas State. It's not getting any easier. So I guess back to your question, David, what does West Virginia have to do? I don't know that they have that mentality to be able just to grind it out against Texas and Tech and Kansas State. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe you guys do, but somehow you have to do something else that you haven't shown the first 10 weeks. You have to find a way to, whether it's Mario Alford and what you were talking about, lining him and Kevin White on the same side of the field, you have to do something to get your playmakers the ball.
Create mismatches. That's what we have to do now. We got to give something. Everybody's seen what happened. I guarantee Texas is going to do the same thing that TCU did.
Yeah.
It's a copycat league. That's exactly what's going to happen. And if I could say anything to the team right now, it would be finish strong, win these last games, finish strong, and go into next year with a positive outlook. And who knows what's going to happen in college football? There could be some crazy, I'm not saying they're getting into a BCS game, but they could at least get into a decent bowl game, feel good about the season, and go into next year, with high aspirations. Because exactly, there wasn't a lot of high hopes for us this year. And I think we've made a statement. I think we're just understanding this is the Big 12. We're obviously over halfway of the season. Conditioning, people are starting to get wore out. a lot of factors are coming into play here. I know it's tough. It's getting towards the end of the season. They got to fly 6 hours to Texas. You know what I mean? Coming back, you know, that stuff wears you out.
Yep.
They just, you know, forget about what happened last week and win this ball game.
Yeah,
End of story.
Between the years.
Exactly.
We've got
Like
to
you
go down
said.
there. The
Like you
defense
said.
has got to keep playing with the intensity and the tenacity that they've shown so far. I mean, that's what I've been most happy about is the improvement in the defense. We feel like they've got a chance to keep us in some games as opposed to letting people just run away from us. And I'm hoping that last week's performance by the offense, we had 5 turnovers, was an anomaly, and that Clint Trickett's going to get back into his more precision, efficient play that he's shown capable of throughout the season, and that this was a bad game against a good team.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, they shouldn't have won that game with 5 turnovers. I mean, that's really. I mean, if I could remember all the numbers the pro scouts would give us as far as the relationship between turnovers and your percentage of winning ball games, after like 2 turnovers, 3 turnovers, it's at 50%. Like, you don't even have a chance. Yeah, I mean, so having 5 and losing by 1, if you're looking at it as far as the numbers aspect goes, I mean, we held it together.
This entire season, it boggles your mind the way that they've been turning the ball over and yet still able to win and be in so many ball games. It's just
and
it's
credit the
mind-boggling.
defense too. I mean, they created 2
Absolutely.
turnovers, and we had one on special teams there, our bloop kick that went uncovered. But that helped keep us in the game as well.
Yeah.
Well, just to let you guys know, you're at the Owen Schmitt Showdown, hosted by thedpost.com at 5 p.m. every Wednesday. We'll be here live at Schmitt's Saloon. So come check us out. Tell your friends. Bring your friends. If they're new, I'll buy them a beer. Honest to God's truth. Swear by it. Q&A time a little bit. If you guys got a question, there's our trusty little microphone. If you guys want to ask something to us about maybe when Alex was in town.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. We got one. Right. I didn't even have to pull anyone's arm.
Oh, we're supposed to answer his question from last time.
Here he is. Look at that. He had a little G walk when he was coming up, too.
He's done this before.
I think he ate one of our
Swallowed a
he ate one of the hot wings.
One of those wings, huh?
BFG wings.
I agree with a lot of what you said, but I disagree with. I got an issue with the last couple of series, the play calling the game. To me, they didn't show the confidence in the offense of trying to gain some positive yards and not run the ball, or just there was no imagination in the offense the last couple of series, especially. Nothing. I don't remember any passes at all over the middle. The H-back was a non-factor.
Yeah.
That's where I have a problem. The effort, even with the turnovers, no. What you guys said, that's amazing that they were even in the ball game.
Yeah. I think we kind of tried to talk about it a little bit. It was very non-creative. It was prevent. To be honest, to me, that's what it seemed like. It was just very
Prevent offense.
For real.
Preventing the
It's a new
first down.
term. Prevent offense.
No, for real. It was like, are we gonna listen? We're trying to win a ball game here. We got to take some. You got to take some chances.
They didn't coach to win the game.
Exactly. I hear you there. And to me, that's a lot of the stuff that I've heard coming back.
I agree. I mean, he looked like he didn't have any confidence in the offense, and
Didn't help.
I probably wouldn't have had any confidence in throwing the ball at that point either. I mean, that's where, I would have hoped we could have imposed our will, rose to the occasion, and picked up a first down. But, I understand the plays were vanilla and we were getting cream. So, I don't know. It was damned if you do and damned if you don't at that point. Had we thrown an interception, people would have been saying,
Why did you run the ball?
why in the hell didn't they run the ball?
Yeah.
I guess so. But after 2 3 and outs, that's where I agree with you. You're 2, maybe 1 first down away. I mean, that's how close you are. After 2 3 and outs in the fourth quarter, you got to come up with something.
Game's over.
Well, to me, this is where football gets so funny to me because ultimately, what are we trying to do? We're just trying to move the chains.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you got 10 yards. It's really not hard to come up with play slants I mean, with quick hitters like that, you know what I mean? Little quick dumps, little tight end dumps over the top. I mean, it's hard to tell what they were thinking. To be honest with you, it seemed like it was like a new game. It just seemed like so scared to, just because of what had happened in the game, to really even push the issue. Figured that I guess they could have just coasted and won.
We looked scared at the end. We coached scared. We looked scared at the end. I agree.
You wonder if it has an effect on the kid's psyche too, that are playing offense. It's like, oh, geez, the offensive staff doesn't have the confidence us to try to go downfield. We're just basically sitting on the ball.
Yeah, if they're thinking about all that, then they need to get their butts on the bench.
Yeah.
They think about blocking the guy in front of them getting the first down. But I understand what you're saying, though.
There's some relativity to this, but not really. When we lost to Pitt, I pretty much thought we coached that whole game not to win anyways. So I know that feeling when, as a player, you're like, well, first of all, there should have been a player that stepped up and said, give me the ball. You know what I mean? And in a situation like that, you got to have a guy to do that. Luckily enough for when I was playing, I had,
there's like 3 guys.
Yeah. Pat White, Steve Slane, it was like, just hand it off, and they'll run, sideline to sideline a couple times, and then they'll take it to the house. They shut down our best attribute, and then it was kind of like, well, what do we do? So
I thought we might fake that punt all the Sugar Bowl at the end of the game. I was saying, watch this.
We should have.
Because they were bailing on the
We should have.
Punt return.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll add to, I agree with what everybody's saying. Whether it's the pros or in college, especially like the elite teams, you see, Oklahoma did it to us, where they just closed out the game. Whether it was run plays or a quick little spot pass or something. There's a 4-minute or 8-minute offense that they go into where they are in lockdown mode, and everybody on offense knows that it's just time. You finish blocks, you finish runs, you don't take any stupid penalties, and you look in the eyes of the defenders and you just annihilate them. I was not on the field this past Saturday, but when we talk about imposing your will, those are things that you learn in summer camp. You don't learn those. You don't learn those at Halloween. You don't. You can't.
That's inside too. I mean, that's
true.
I'd like to think you play the way you're coached. If you're coached hard, you're going to play hard. If you're coached soft, you're going to be a soft team.
There's some truth to that.
This team's made improvements, though. I mean, in that department in particular, I think this team's made leaps and bounds improvements over the last 2 years.
And that's no reflection on this team. That's just a personal.
Sure.
Thing.
Oh no, for sure. I completely agree with you. I mean, if you're coached hard, you're going to be hard.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
We didn't have a choice with Rod.
Yes.
If you did not respond to Coach Rod, guess where you were?
On the bench.
Towers. You weren't playing.
You weren't playing. You were running the stairs. Yeah, you were. You were running the stairs.
That too. After you gave your jersey back, but yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with you 100%. I love Dana 100%. The only thing is it's too late. You know what I mean? When you get here, you have to instill that right away.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's not.
And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just, hey, everybody watches the games just like me. It's the same opinion. I guess I understand. Yes, it's ballsy to say something like that. But if we're being true to ourselves, I mean, that wasn't his MO coming in. I mean, he was an assistant coordinator. He was an offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? He's kind of learned these last couple years to be a head coach and what that really takes.
He's learning on the job.
You know what I mean? Pretty much.
Yeah.
To me, and that's my opinion. You know what I mean? With me running the bar, this is my first bar I've ever run. So I'm learning on the fly. You know what I mean? That's not the best way to learn, but in a game where it is a team effort and you have a guy who's leading you as far as a coach goes, you better hope he's he's got a hard edge, because when it hits the fan, what are you going to do? Are you going to go
When it
cry
hits
and run?
the fan, you look at him.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I mean,
And
that's
then
what,
it's like,
I
hey,
can't tell
well,
you
now
how many
what?
times,
Honestly.
as a player, things are going sideways, and you look at the coach. If he's over here shuffling his papers, if he's over here cussing out another coordinator or a player, that does not give you, it doesn't make your back stand straight. Say that again?
You're looking for the reinforcement.
Reinforcement, exactly.
Somebody's got your back.
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry, boys. We can come back from this.
Yeah.
We just got to do this, this, and this. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Fortunately,
Yeah,
we've got a tremendous challenge next week where we can right the ship and get
Yeah.
everything going back in the right direction
Exactly.
again. We've got some great games ahead of us where
got
this
another
team
question.
can really craft a special season.
Hopefully that answered it. Hopefully we tried
Thanks.
to get as
Thank you.
best
That's a great
we
question.
could. Yes, thank you for the question. Thank you
Here's
so much.
another one.
All right, we got another one.
How you doing, Owen?
One more.
Get the
Oh,
light.
there
There
you
we
go.
go.
A lot of passion here at Schmitt Saloon.
A lot of passion.
First timer,
Hey,
Hey.
taking up on that beer offer.
right on.
And today with Coach Gottfried, you work with him with Rod, and Pat White said, "Come on over, and you got to come and see Owen at Schmitt Saloon."
Cool.
So we're here. Question for you: back in the day, you talked about conditioning. What did you guys do? Well, it was different from
God.
today. I know he talks about Law Hill all the time. What was the game? What did you guys do?
Well, first of all, I mean, we put in the extra effort. Can I say
In
that?
winter conditioning.
Can I say that? Can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
Not to get anyone in trouble,
Just
but
leave it
it's
right
already been hashed out. It's all good. What we did was Rod's coaching style, as far as the training aspect would go, is the cream rises to the top. And if nobody understands that, it's just you weed out the bad ones, you pick the good ones. You know what I mean? So physically, just beat us down completely, as much as we could. Probably sort of kind of like military training would be.
I mean, our winter mat drills were called tour of duty.
Yeah,
so
it's called tour
I
of
mean,
duty.
it was basically if you lasted through winter conditioning and
yeah.
got to spring ball, you had a chance to make an impact on a team. I mean,
Yeah,
I've talked about it before. I mean, we would do heavy, like 90% leg days, squats and run 110 gassers. Like it's just.
Yeah.
It's not just that, right? Isn't the mentality you guys talked
It's-
about?
yeah.
The whole big effort. Losing a game was almost like what he used to say. It was almost like losing a member of the family. It just seems like now losing a game, it's like, all right, we'll play next week.
We had, it was a lot different staff. We had Mike Barwis, who is crazier than crazy. I mean, super intense guy. You want to talk about a coach? Super intense. When you got in the weight room, it was business. It wasn't, play around, whatever. You were there to lift weights. He pushed you. He made you get your max efforts. He drove you to that edge.
Right.
You know what I mean? Same thing with practice. Rod would just drill us into the ground. But he knew when to hold back and stuff like that. But we were a bunch of dogs. You know what I mean? Trained dogs, really.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before. That I've never been around 80, 90 guys who were trying to cut each other off, but do it for the flying WV. Like, it was one of the weirdest things because every player in my position group was just as good, if not better than me.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how it is now, but
a simple drill, I'll tell you this right now. A simple drill, just running, okay? Everybody has to be behind the line. You don't go to the whistle blows. Okay, that might seem like no big deal, but put, 100 guys on the line and see if everybody can do it. That's called discipline, okay? Those are things that you teach in the game that, everybody, you think you should know, but until everybody gets on that same page, then you can move on to the next step. So there's a lot of aspects of, do I think Mike Joseph's doing a great job? Yeah, I think he's doing a great job. The guys look great. They got six packs. They got,
we never had those.
big arm muscles, they look strong.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I don't know if he's training them how we were trained in the in-season program. In-season, a lot of teams just maintain versus try to get stronger.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how we trained.
Yeah. a whole different game plan, right? A whole different thought process.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a whole different crew. You know what I mean? It's hard to.
But you think with social media, maybe these kids feel as though, they're, maybe they can slack off a little bit. I mean, back in the day, even, 5 or 6 years ago, it wasn't as, as common as it is today. I mean, there's more focus on these kids, on their star ratings and, where they're going. And, it's maybe they can slack off a bit, they think, if they have one good game and,
Well, I'll be honest with you. Any kid that comes into college and thinks he's the, he's got another thing coming.
Yeah.
And the way that we put the emphasis on them kids, it gives them a false sense of entitlement. I mean, I don't know, what do you guys think?
I hate those hat ceremonies and all that stuff. And people
Yeah, I
are
never understood
signing.
that.
It's
What
a
the
little way overblown.
I don't
care
see
for
it
it,
doesn't.
yeah.
I mean, do something. Work your tail off and earn something, and then see when somebody is given something, it's whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever.
You just
if
have to
you
show
earn
up.
it, if you work for it and earn it, that's a whole different ball game. Now you're going to protect that thing. To me, that's a loss of translation between generations anyways. I mean, look at the difference between you when you were in high school playing sports, which was like, you guys aren't getting any water. Water makes you weak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now we have fans that missed water.
Yeah, now they have seats that are heated, and like when it's hot out, you get a nice
Different time.
It's different
Good
time.
luck here at the saloon. I suggest all Mountaineer fans come out here.
I appreciate it.
A lot of energy here.
Hey,
Good luck.
thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks so
Thank
much for
you.
the question. Thank you guys so much. Alex, we kind of skipped memory lane, and that's like my favorite part. And he said he had some really good stories. We got about 14 minutes left. Give us a good 14-minute closing story.
No pressure.
With some cliffhangers.
Well, listen, you were the only undefeated season.
Yeah, that was a fantastic run, and
So-
obviously everybody's already heard all about that. What I want to talk about was Chris Gray,
Okay.
who was my roommate. A lot of y'all might have remembered Chris. He was a quarterback for us, 87 to 91. We came in together. He was probably the sloppiest and dirtiest roommate that I've ever had in the history of roommates. And
Jake Figner for me.
I was gonna say Lou
Lyman.
Davis for me.
yeah, it's a really
Yikes.
really annoying thing. And we lived in this absolute slum over on Pennsylvania Avenue in South Park.
Oh, yeah.
You know where that is? I mean, it was nasty. And we had finally decided we'd had enough. The refrigerator didn't work. The roof leaked. We had rats in the basement.
College athlete right here.
Yeah,
Living in the slum.
pampered. So we decided we were going to move out over Christmas break. So we moved all of our stuff to this nice new apartment, and just left it all there in boxes and stuffed it in our rooms and had stuff scattered everywhere, furniture, nothing put away. And I came down over Christmas break just to try and start organizing stuff, and I noticed something stunk in Chris's stuff. So I called him. I was like, Chris, did you leave food in your room? Is there something really stinks? And he naturally just dismissed me, and it's like, nothing stinks. And he had that stupid Jersey accent to go along with it. What? So I came back down a couple days later, and he got back from Christmas break, and it's like, Chris, you need to check it out. Something stinks in your room. And he went in, and he finally agreed with me, and we were
Finally agreed. Like
yeah, well, it was
be.
undeniable at that point when you were there and the presence of this odor. We started, we focused on a corner of where it was a chest of drawers. I was like, I think it's in this chest of drawers. And I was leaning down low and pulling the drawer out, and I was like, it's getting stronger. And I pulled the next drawer out. It was getting a little bit stronger. Pulled the next drawer out. And just to circle back, Chris had received from his grandmother the clapper as a gift.
Back in the day.
So
yeah.
he had already installed the clapper on all the lights in the house. So all the lights were hooked up to this. You remember that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Clap
Clap
on.
on,
Clap
clap
on.
on.
Clap off.
Clap off.
Yep. So we get to the top drawer of this really stinky chest of drawers, and I look up, and there was a rat in mid-leap coming out of this laundry basket,
man.
ready to attack me. I mean, it was snarling teeth, claws bared. Naturally, I screamed, And Chris screamed in response to my scream. In the
Did you scream like?
uh,
Did you scream like that?
the decibel, the pitch was high enough that it caused the clapper. It shut the lights off.
Oh, jeez. That's a nightmare.
Which increased the terror factor because I was just sure that this rat was attacking me, and we're wrestling, trying to get away from each other, clawing our way out of the apartment, running as fast as we can. But my lasting memory of that is hearing Chris behind me clapping, trying to get the lights to come back on. That stupid clapper. Get rid of that thing. So we ran next door to Tom Robsock's house. You remember him? He was an offensive lineman, started at guard for us on a good 93 team. And our solution was to come back with Tom's shotgun.
Oh, my God.
to kill this rat. And we were crouching in, Chris and I, behind Tom. And we were finally able to find a flashlight and isolated this rat that was actually stuck in the webbing of a laundry basket. It apparently was trying to get through it, so it was dead and it was dying, and that was the cause for the whole odor.
So
in
it wasn't
Chris's
even
room.
it wasn't even alive.
No, but it really
Oh
looked
my
alive.
gosh.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't
Coming
matter.
out of the
died like
it was a
this?
leap.
And what was the size of this? Was it actually this big, or did it end up being more in this?
It was one of the larger rats that you would find
was.
from South Park.
It
But
was actually a small raccoon.
Yeah.
But our solution was that we were
possum.
going to let Tom shoot it with a 12-gauge shotgun, and we had an adjoining. When I finally figured out, I screamed, "Stop! Don't shoot! Don't shoot it!" Or we'd have probably killed our next-door neighbor. But that's my Chris Gray story. God rest his. That's the only one I can tell on in public. That Chris got killed in the World Trade Center, and it was a great guy and a big loss to the team and our community.
Awesome.
Oh man, memory lane. Feels good to talk about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just brings back memories thinking about Chris.
Yeah.
How many years were you guys roommates?
A year and a half, I guess, the
Okay.
summer and our senior year. It's a lot of fun. He was a great guy. Great guy.
You know, it's funny when we look back and talk about kind of like what everybody's doing now, and lost Chris and 9/11, obviously, just to see where all of us Mountaineers are now, like kind of keeping a wraps on what everybody's doing, because I mean we battled with those guys, you know what I mean? Well, not war, but I mean nobody's going to put yourself through physical pain like that for no reason, you know what I mean? And you build a special bond with players, and you could not talk to them for 15 years, but you see them or you get a hold of them on the phone, and it's bam, it's right back where you were 15, 20 years ago.
It's like kids again.
Yeah, reminiscing about old times and stuff. So to me, it's a very special segment on the show because, I mean, the memories are the best part. You know what I mean? And to be able to share them with everybody in the audience as well. Nobody would have known that, you know what I mean? But what a funny story to tell, obviously. About Drew, we got about 8 minutes left. I don't think we've really ever asked a good story. We've asked a couple of times, but what's just right now off the top of your head? What's a good Mountaineer moment for you?
A good Mountaineer moment story. Well, I would say one of my first years covering the team was the Sugar Bowl year, and so that whole season was certainly memorable. But I mean, for me, it would probably go back to some of the interactions with certain players over the years, just building certain bonds.
Well, give us the best, your best
story of.
What's your best interview, like the funniest interview you ever gave with a player?
Deshaun Butler was hilarious all the time. I'd say he was one of the guys just because he would take conversations in any and every direction. He was always a favorite. Dennis Kalichla. I know I'm throwing out a bunch of basketball guys, but Dennis
is a great dude.
was, you never knew where he was going to go, which was great for an interviewer.
Well, and you never knew what he was going to say. Or
Exactly.
actually, you could never understand what he was saying anyways.
Dennis.
Did you guys ever end up playing? I know
Dennis,
the guard?
when we first opened, actually, where the little corner stage was, Dennis came and jammed. He's a shredder, dude.
There's a good YouTube thing of that. I've seen that before, yeah.
Yeah, he can play. He's doing great over. I know he's doing good overseas too. He's liking it over there. I've been able to interact with him a few times, but
And you know, one of the ones that not necessarily funny, but I remember interviewing Pat White one-on-one his senior year, and you guys maybe experienced this. It was a point in his career where we honestly got into a conversation about how lonely he felt as somebody who felt immense amount of pressure.
Yeah.
And this was, his senior year, so it was at the end of his career, and that just really struck me, where he was getting, it was one time where he was just kind of vulnerable, kind of just letting out there and talking about how much pressure was on, and that was a pretty lengthy conversation I had with Pat, and it was just a rare glimpse where he just gave a little bit of insight of like, yeah, it's not always easy to be what he had become, and that was certainly one of the most memorable interviews, just to hear him, because just to be real and vulnerable, and just like any other human being that would be in that situation, even though he's made out to be king of WVU football, but how alone he felt, despite everybody that loved him at that time.
Well, he didn't have me. I was gone, so he loved when I was there, because
Obvious correlation.
I protected him. You know what I mean? I was like, I was the enforcer back there. I made sure, wipe the dirt off, made sure he was okay, pick him up, He probably just missed me.
He probably did.
I'm sure he did.
Just missed me. He probably just missed
I'm sure he did.
That's probably his first quote.
Yeah. Oh, what a good guy. Well, thanks again, everybody, for coming to the Owen Schmitt Showdown. Alex, Drew, Dave, thank you so much again. We'll be back here next week, 5 p.m. We'll stream live from thedpost.com if you guys want to check it out. Maybe we told a good joke. You want to take it. It's free of charge. You can steal whatever lines I take, because I come up with some pretty good ones. But
I was going to say, like that one.
But thank you guys again so much for joining us. Like I said, tell a friend. If he is a first-timer, I'll hold true. I'll buy him a beer. I promise you on that one. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Owen.